meetings monthly, and so we're getting a lot of hands-on help.
That's great. No, we appreciate it, the opportunity. The next topic was, and so I think with Kevin, you and Tucker as well, while on is, for us is to talk about our agenda for the year. What are the topics that we want to cover? And obviously with you on, before you have to leave, is get your, perspective out as well. What are the sort of key topics on your mind that you'd love to, think about for this committee, and then open it up for others for other ideas?
Well, one, Jeff, is just to continue to forge ahead and trying to make the town government as electronic, digital as possible. We're not there yet. We made a lot of progress with the new website, and we're using all the utilities that Revise makes available to us. Sal today showed us what he's doing with bringing all the videos for the meetings down into the archive of the meetings of committees and commissions and boards. So I just want to continue to move forward on ideas for making everything we do electronic with residents, and so people want to do things quickly and online, and they don't want to have to come to the town hall to do things. And so I think there's still things on the table for us to address. And as you'll talk about later, I think we're getting close on our objective of getting this master resident database, which is taking longer than I had hoped, but I think we're getting closer to completing that. So,
Kevin, what are you intending to call that when laying it out for citizens to sign up for?
well, I don't envision that it be signed up for. I view it in two respects, Paul. First of all, it almost becomes a census for us, right?
Yeah.
Because it's interesting how much churn there is which is natural for any town. We have 300 or 400 people leave every year, and 300 or 400 people come in. We have people that die. It gives us an opportunity. But most importantly, with Everbridge has fabulous capabilities, but you have to normally build up from the ground up and ask people to subscribe. And actually, they have an app, which I think one thing we need to proceed to do is encourage people to use the app. But given COVID, given where we are right now, we want to be able to communicate with every household on COVID. I had an email this morning from a gentleman who's a good friend, and he said, "I hear you issue weekly updates on COVID. I'm not getting them." We probably have dozens and dozens of people out there that aren't getting them. So the objective is to have a list which we're going to put into Everbridge. We loaded up Everbridge with a lot of data points of telephone numbers and email addresses we had partly from Blackboard. Blackboard we had up and running for 10 years, and we only had 3,000 email addresses in it. We through our use of Constant Contact and other databases, we have like 18,000 email addresses in different databases. But it doesn't, and everybody uses them in their own silo. The objective here is to bring them together and have whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or what, sitting on the intranet, which we have for all employees, so we can communicate by email, and also have Everbridge fully loaded. So when we want to, tell a street that they're being paved right now, we go out. We're a high-touch service town government. We go out and put things on people's doorknobs and tell them their street is going to be paved next week. But if we can send them emails, we can eliminate that step. And also for emergencies, we need to be able, there's tremendous geofencing in geofencing, is that the word?
Yeah.
Yes.
In Everbridge. So if we want to communicate with one part of town in a storm, or
you put yourself on mute, Kevin.
I hit the buttons by mistake. Just like I'm sure Mike has tremendous resources at Synchrony to be able to do things electronically. I want the town to be as electronic as we possibly can, and have our residents, do things with the town as easily as possible. So that's the goal, to be able to communicate with everybody electronically. Now there's some seniors on the edge that on the fringes that don't want to deal with email, but those are relatively few, but we have to be able to communicate by telephone as well when we do out calls.
And so you said Everbridge, you're thinking as being sort of that central source, right? The central. Yeah.
Everbridge is the tool by which we can do so many things.
Right.
But again, it's my frustration, and Bob Mantilli and I have this experienced it. I'll get an email from somebody. The first thing I want to know, well, I get a name and an email address, right? But I'll get messages from so-and-so called. I'd like to be able to just go to a directory and email them back, if not call them back. So it's kind of it's a census. It's a ability to communicate about a lot of different things.
Got it.
So that's number one goal for 2021.
We're going to complete this in the first quarter. We're that close. We're
It's
that
always
close.
good. It's always good to win in the first quarter.
Yes, yes.
I learned that a long time
And
ago.
quite honestly, the COVID crisis gives us the reason to want to do it. There's nobody should be out there not being informed as to what's going on, especially. So
Right.
Happy to see that today the sign up for COVID vaccinations is on the town website.
right. Although I spent an hour, the governor has weekly governor's calls at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. Unfortunately, they've overpromised because there's over 1 million people in this one at 1B now that they've added the teachers. So it's going to take months for 1B to get through all the seniors over 65 and
Wow. So that 1 million is like a third of the population, right?
third of the population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're 3.5 million people,
Right.
which means young people are not going to.
Yeah.
It's a big job to fortunately, Connecticut just completed all the nursing homes, and so they're doing a good job in the important areas. But when you add in teachers along with seniors, that's a big population in Connecticut.
I have an appointment for 2 weeks from tomorrow.
You do?
Yeah.
Good
I
for
won't
you.
tell you how I got
Keep
it.
that to yourself. Someone's gonna hijack your identity.
I won't tell you how I got it. My wife found a slot at Norwalk Hospital on Friday.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm totally bottom of the barrel. Like, I'll get it maybe in August.
you're young though. What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean,
Just a little drink.
You know what? But not young enough.
Yeah,
My kids get it before me.
I've talked to a number of people, seniors, that are getting appointments different ways. And so, but the state has not been terribly, it's been a big political battle. They debated which group should be first. And, but when seniors are a big population in Connecticut, so.
Yeah.
yeah, clever people with a lot of time on their hands finding places where you can sign up.
Right.
So Kevin, all right, so we talked database, that's clearly high. Everbridge itself seems like it's in good shape, but we talked about how to get more, you mentioned how to get more people on. So the sort of the marketing or the outreach around it.
I'll give you another example. Okay. I want to go to digital invoicing like the state does, right? The city of New Haven does it. And my CFO, it's been sort of his objective to get it done, but we're not getting it done. And that's kind of basic to move out. We have an employee in finance whose job is to scan invoices and put them into the system. That step should be unnecessary. Everybody who deals with us ought to submit their invoices digitally. They get queued up for managers to approve, and for me to sign when I have to sign things, I can do it electronically. We need to get rid of paper, and others are doing it. The state of Connecticut does it, and most so.
Where's the volume, Kevin? Where's the volume of our invoicing?
Oh, we have a lot of stuff. A lot of vendors that are, whether it's contractors that are doing stuff. It keeps us busy scanning things into the system. And why scan things when you simply tell your vendor, if you want to do business with New Canaan, you got to submit your invoices electronically.
Mhm.
And it's not that difficult to do. And Munis, our accounting system, is designed to accommodate that. We just, you know, it's, and we have the pieces, we just haven't done it yet. But that's another example of people don't take much initiative in government unless they're sort of pushed. They, you know, they do it the way they did it last year and 10 years ago, so
Not their
I made the comment to my department managers this morning. I'm kind of amazed at how good the state of Connecticut's website capabilities are. Actually, it wasn't the department managers; it was our risk management group. That that they have very elegant stuff. I don't know who their vendor is to provide their, but you know, I registered because I had traveled and for my travel. I mean, it's very elegant web site technology that they use, and I'm very happy, by the way, with our website. I mean, I think we did a tremendous job with the conversion, and we did not do a great job with the Everbridge implementation. We sort of got it implemented because we had to. We had a deadline, but we still haven't gotten fully engaged as to how we ought to be using Everbridge.
Kevin, I think you've mentioned to me in the past, there are a couple other departments.
There's two other, you know, Tucker's
Yeah.
working on how we improve internet service in town.
Right.
And that's not, we discovered with this tropical storm in August, it's a problem for all semi-rural areas, especially where we have so many trees, because, and people working at home. So we, you know, we have to, and we have a vendor in Optimum who, for whatever reason, their service level has really deteriorated.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how to address that. There's other parts of the country that have brought in fiber to the home and 1 gigabit internet service, and a town like New Canaan should have that. We have to figure out how to get there. Other towns are looking at the same thing. And it's kind of frustrating when you see that Frontier, which is kind of a company coming out of bankruptcy, they own the Fios franchise in New Haven County. So their Frontier, which is so poor with AT&T Uverse in town, they bought the AT&T franchise in Connecticut from AT&T. They're bringing fiber to the home in New Haven County. Why can't we have that here?
Is there any prohibitions, an off the ball question, but is there any prohibition on towns owning or operating broadband service?
No, in fact, that's exactly what other towns are looking at, and other parts of the country. I think it was down in Jackson, Mississippi, when they used CARES Act funds to build out a city-owned internet.
ISP, Internet Service Provider. Yeah, they were.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, you know, CARES Act funds were not exactly distributed across the country very equitably.
It doesn't have to be world class. Doesn't have to be gigabyte service.
Well, yeah, ideally, you want to leapfrog
to
to the state of the art now, because, you know, they're getting to a point where, you know, being able to, it's key to education.
Yeah.
It's key to working from home.
Kevin, what's the term that we learned that you knew about our telephone poles? That is it something gain or something that we're allowed to? Connecticut's one of the only states.
Yeah, on a telephone pole, the top gain is the electric wires, obviously, right? Then you have gains down where people can hang wires, and the cable company has the right to put wires up. The telephone company has the right to put up, and there's one level where the municipalities can have their own wires. And that's where there was litigation over this, in fact, and the municipalities won, that we have the right to string fiber throughout the town if we want to, and offer a service directly. The federal government actually allowed that to open up where there can be competition with municipalities offering a service directly. So, and that's what Ridgefield is looking at doing. Danville was looking to do it because we have, for whatever reason, we have a very weak competitor with Optimum. Somehow their service level has really gone down since they were bought by Altice. And to me, the fastest way to get there is perhaps to work with them and to upgrade their system, because they already have 45% of the town wired.
I can't see them doing that though.
There's
Well,
no
that's
incentive.
the trouble. Why do they choose to invest in one area? You know, and by the way, our complaints about their service level are not unique to us. I mean, it's New Jersey, you know, they've become a very poor competitor. And Frontier is worse. I mean, as far as service levels.
You know, it's interesting, you mentioned CARES Act. I hadn't thought of that. If, you know, with the new federal administration, you know, there's talk that infrastructure may be a, you know, a big push on that side. That may provide opportunity. We don't know yet. This is pure
Right.
speculation,
Well,
but
for
you know.
federal grants,
yeah, who knows?
because you know, with that, and I think this is something that town should invest. I've said it before, and I say it again, that it's a real selling point for town. Like people would move in if they knew there's definitely a good internet service. And people don't even realize it, how bad it is.
Right.
Let's remember too, that during all of this time when we're now all working from home or living at work is how they call it now, and all the kids going to school at home and what have you. I mean, that's put a lot of pressure on the system, but it's still the calls that I'm dealing with almost on a daily basis from people who can't, you know, have any internet connectivity or any reliability with it it's astonishing, and they don't seem to respond.
You know, that said, we're all, you know, using Zoom on our, probably, is everybody on Optimum at home?
Yes.
You know, and so this actually Zoom, to me, is remarkable how good it is, right? I mean, we're basically at.
Yeah.
So, and I, you know, the Optimum service level is, the product itself is not the problem. It's the servicing of customers. Customer service should be something that is kind of core to anybody's business, you know? And
Except when it isn't.
yeah,
That's right.
and there is an upgrade in technology that has to be made because this is satisfying our needs, what the level we
Those are
have
off the
now.
ball. Those are off the ball ideas that we have a fantastic town fiber optic network. Is there any way that we can use any part of the capability? I don't mean you connecting to the same network.
Yeah,
I mean, we've obviously got conduits and power stations or something on that ring that somehow could in fact be utilized to start to spread it out.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that may be getting way ahead of ourselves. But
I don't think it's really it's possible to expand that. But first of all, it's underground, and it was designed to only interconnect the schools and all the town buildings.
I'm not talking about connecting to the town network. I'm saying we have the capability.
Yeah.
A lot of the infrastructure surrounding it is in place. It's not like you're going to start digging up all the streets in New Canaan to do this. There's a substantial asset underutilized underneath the town of New Canaan.
Right. Right. Well, I think Mike Abbott's going
Throwing
to.
that out.
We're working with Tucker. We're going to do some more research in this area. I've got to jump, folks.
Yeah.
So I think I welcome other ideas, and again, thank you all for serving and being there to help us.
Happy New Year.
Great.
Thanks, Kevin. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
No, I think that's I mean, it's a great topic. I think it's, you know, on our list of topics, one that, you know, we should keep an eye on and help. I know Tucker, I know you're leading it.
Yeah, and that's the other question that I get when everybody calls. The first thing they say is, "Can you help me? My internet's terrible." And then they say, "What is the town doing
Right.
to improve this?" That is the second question. And now I have a decent answer to say that it's not just me, that I've got a committee that's helping us look into this and research ways that we might be able to fix it. We make no promises, but we can at least look into it.
Right. Yeah, and it's also the, you know, fiber versus 5G, you know, is there something in the 5G realm that makes sense? So,
Yeah, I don't know. What I've learned is 5G isn't going to get us where we need to be, but
Yeah, the answer is fiber, right? And Jeff, you and I have the same problem here. In fact, as we were talking about this, I got kicked out with Optimum. It's sort of a size of pipe problem too that Optimum has. So at my house, I have boosters. I have the best possible in-house system, but the pipe coming into my house is such a low bandwidth.
And it is shared.
That's where, exactly. And not only is it shared, I mean, and I'm sure you've all experienced this. I get brownouts. I get brownouts 2 to 3 times a day where it just goes down for 5 minutes and it's planned.
Well,
And-
what Altice has done in bringing in taking over Cablevision is that they have started siphoning off
Right.
capability to run Wi-Fi networks around town so they can claim that they're providing, wider service.
Exactly.
That's being done on the backs of and out of the bandwidth of
Home.
individual homes.
Yeah, it's load management, right?
I refuse to use an Altice modem because the ones that they provide are designed to siphon off a section of my
Of what
capability
you have, right?
I'm paying for.
Right, exactly. So,
I mean, I think we do want 5G here, but it's not a long-term solution. We've got massive capacity issues, right? And so it's got to be about fiber. I think you're all.
yeah. And so finishing the thought, when I had spoken with Optimum probably a month or 2 ago, probably 2 months ago, they said they have, who knows, but they have this fiber solution. But the person I was talking to basically said, don't get it. It doesn't work. And this is the person I'm talking to at Altice. He said, just hang in there. Hopefully we'll get it in the future, but I'm not recommending it. And that was going to go to it's fiber. It's a fiber solution is the
You
answer.
talk to Comcast, like in the Boston area. I mean, I have relatives in the Boston area. All of them are on Fios.
Yeah. No, Westchester County is.
Westchester County. Yeah.
So Mike, sorry, they were saying that they're going to have fiber to your house and they want.
They said they have a version of fiber today, but they don't recommend it, is what they said. Now they have no version of fiber, right?
Okay, yeah.
He was trying to get me to get the more upgraded bandwidth,
Okay.
offer. Which exactly your point, Paul. They bring in the Altice modems and they put them up all around your house, and essentially they're two-way modems. They're getting energy. They're getting the signal out of your home as much as they are bringing it into your home.
Oh my God. And then if you have any bigger house, then your own booster it's gonna be
Right. The boosters are useless, Anne Marie. That's what I'm saying. I paid a lot of money for boosters, and if the pipe coming into the house is small, doesn't matter. You're not boosting anything.
Are you suggesting to buy a commercial modem instead of taking their modem?
Yes, absolutely. What they're selling you is a modem that is capable of siphoning off bandwidth for their other project. It's a combination modem and router. I have sitting over here, I have a very old Cablevision modem that runs it up to 300 megabit per second, which is more than I'm paying them for. And I have my own router on top of that. And those things do not have any way for them to utilize my service.
Yeah, and the other approach so I've had so much frustration. So especially after the storm, for a week and a half, I was in and out, almost 2 weeks. I went and bought an extender for the cellular network, right? So they sell these things that you can buy commercially that extend, that pick up a better signal on the cellular network. But where I live, right, where Jeff and I live, there's essentially no cellular signal at all.
Yeah.
So you're screwed both ways. Now, and where you mentioned it, like I joke, like I don't think I'm gonna be able to sell my house for $500,000 because the minute if somebody brings in one of those speed tests into my home, they're gonna walk out the front door.
Oh, they just
Welcome
open
to
their
the no-
phones. It's
the
like
no phone zone.
Right, that's where I live. So anyway, maybe there's sort of redundant things we can think about with cellular as well. And there's tower discussions and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but I was thinking of that as the backup, and I don't even have a backup.
I have lived without cell service forever,
Yeah.
literally. I mean, we are in the valley. I'm off of Valley Road on Hickok, and there is no cell service.
Yeah.
If I go out the
Very
front lawn and walk most of the way towards the road, I can get sometimes a small signal. I do everything at this house, including this conversation, over voice over IP,
Yeah.
because otherwise there wouldn't be any communication here. I mean, I'm well familiar with this. By the way, before Kevin got away, maybe Tucker knows the answer to this. What's the story with Kevin I mean, Keith Ritchie's cell tower, when am I gonna get that one to see if that's a help?
I think that's going up. I think that's starting in the next month or so.
Okay.
But I do know that Kevin's bringing another cell tower to the Board of Selectmen on Monday.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
Okay,
note.
wait, is that Keith Ritchie, the Soundview hot
Yeah.
potato?
Yes,
Yes.
you're smiling.
Good for you, Paul, but there's a lot of hot talk about it.
All right, so,
It's been decided. I think it's done.
yeah,
Yeah, he had to do some additional, once it was approved, there was some additional soil testing and ground testing that delayed a month or so.
Yeah,
He happened to mention that at the parking commission this week.
so yeah, definitely a hot topic. I can see this being I mean, overall internet service, I mean, not cell towers. Because I think that's somewhere we can play, you know, and understand, because it sounds like, you know, a lot of, and Chris Kaiser from IT would chime in here, you know, what he hears as well. He lives in somewhere
Orange.
up in Orange, Connecticut, and they're being offered fiber to the home by Frontier. So, you know, it's like, all right, it's happening in other
Really?
places. So anyway, so I think this is, let's put this as a topic agenda. I'm sure it will be a, you know, plenty of topic on it, and not something
Frontier
we'll
was-
solve. Go ahead.
Frontier was dealt a bad hand and made some bad decisions on taking on these capabilities. One, the AT&T stuff they took on was crap.
Right.
And the fiber opportunity they took on was great, but it requires a capital investment up front.
Yeah.
And they weren't, that's not their business. Their business is milking the plant that they acquire. It's not building out new stuff.
Right.
And you can see what's happening with that business. I mean, people are canceling their service all over their
Right.
landline service all over the place.
I have to sign off, guys. I've got to get on another one at 7:45 and I got to get ready. Thank you.
You
Thanks,
tired of the
Tucker. Thank
griping?
you, Tucker.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
You know, the reason why I'm here at town hall tonight instead of home is because my Zoom calls are erratic versus the town network here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a topic. I know Kevin talked about the electronic invoices, digital invoices. That's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that one before. He had mentioned, Kevin, in passing to me, had mentioned a couple others just for our consideration. One is town clerks, all the documents. If you need any town clerks documents, you gotta go and access them in person. So, Bob, do you have any knowledge of that area? Is that,
Oh,
He's
it's just,
laughing, I'm sure.
yeah,
it just is incredibly backwards, and we can talk offline.
Yeah.
But
I'd be
it's
happy-
just, there's
I'd be
no
happy to do-
energy to modernize. I've got a couple of people helping take the email addresses from the absentee ballots application this year. And it's an issue just getting the application for their security reasons, so. There needs to be some real discussion there.
I think there's a way, if there's a will, but there might not be the will.
As an absentee ballot counter for the town of Duquesne, which I'm paid handsomely, of course, I would be very interested in playing with town clerk's office, because if you want to deal with the town clerk's office, it's really, really simple. You need to have a dog. You need to talk to you need to talk to Claudia about the dog. You need to bring the dog in and register the dog and take one of the dog biscuits from the jar that's in the town clerk's office. Once you've done that, you can talk about almost anything if you're polite about it. I mean, once she knows who you are and you're not in there to, I mean, this is a business that was seriously attacked by prior select persons in New Canaan who tried to take over the town clerk's office despite the fact that the town clerk reports to the Secretary of State. This went on for a few years and it was poisonous, and there's no reason for the town clerk to be other than defensive in dealing with the town. But it's doable. I mean, Claudia's not stupid and she's, approachable, but you gotta do it the right way. You can't go in there saying, you work for me. That was done. That didn't work at all. I mean, that was so counterproductive, it was pathetic. And it can be done. If we can identify a few things that make, really good sense, we can take them to her and I think, discuss them. I know, Bob, you're in a better position than anybody to pick out, a couple of low hanging fruit that we can, think of doing something with.
There's a lot of control and thinking 1980s
Yeah.
and
Sure there is.
understanding the automation. Of course, we don't want someone's social security number out there on the internet.
You don't want to call the president to tell you to, shift over 11,780 votes. Seriously, I mean, that being a town clerk is they're in the target of
Right.
people that, don't like the way you're doing stuff just because they don't trust it.
Right. And you just got to pick one item at a time.
Yeah,
And,
one
and
item at a time.
So why don't
If we can get a couple of
Yeah.
insights into the place, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be very happy to go sit down and talk to Florida because I've done
Yeah.
it for years.
but
Well, maybe- Go ahead, Bob.
I mean, it even starts at some of the state. It was for the first time, the Secretary of State had on the application for an email address, but they didn't open a field on their system
Yeah.
to allow them to put it in. That's why we've got some people doing an Excel spreadsheet and capturing the email addresses.
Yeah, you're not gonna get past the, I hate to use the word, the incompetence at the state level, the Secretary of State. I mean, this is stuff that
Yep.
isn't rocket science. It should be done effectively at the state level, and it doesn't. I mean, the number of changes to the process of counting absentee ballots this past fall that came in a 2.5 month period were just ridiculous. It was like they weren't thought through. They were. I'm sorry to be critical of it. I mean, that wasn't well handled. It's kind of symptomatic.
Kevin was saying, oh, the state website is so elegant. It really isn't. I mean, it's really awful. And I dealt with their sales and use tax and this and that. It's like, when was this designed? I mean, like 1970, it was like the first website ever or something. So,
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I did travel as well as Kevin did, and the process to fill out the Connecticut travel form is quite easy. He may have been referring to that process.
No, it's sales and use tax. I used to
okay.
sell like my, jewelry and all that stuff. And it's like, oh my God.
So it sounds like this is an area, so let's put this as an area. Paul, if you have interest, maybe Bob, you could share with Paul offline. Paul, if you're willing to look into it, just to sort of see, is there something for us to play in, and maybe we could chat more next month. So yeah,
I'm
maybe
a reliable contributor to Strays and Others, an organization founded and operated by Claudia Weber in the town of Canaan that takes care of strays and others.
Got
So
it.
if you do that, she knows, where you stand. That's
Right.
important stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
No.
have a visit down there, and I might suggest that one of the areas of focus for this committee for this year is to try to automate some of the town clerk official business if we can help.
Right. No, that sounds good.
I'm saying we because I feel participation with this committee.
Yeah,
You are the
absolutely.
honorary member.
Yeah. All right, so we've talked about town clerk. The other area was parking department. In a couple areas. One is, while it's less of an issue now, because nobody's parking at the train stations, it's the permit parking process is very manual. Right now, I think it's only town employees that really is the issue. So this may not be as important, but assuming we get back, people are back to commuting and people are parking in the lots, this is a, is a process that Kevin said, hey, would be worth looking into. So that's one is the permit renewals. And then the second is the whole ticketing and how, managing people in town. They have the ability to scan, as you know, the license plates, but ability to know who's parking in town and so forth. I think there's more opportunity there as well. So that was just an idea that Kevin had. We can, maybe wait and he can give more detail on that, but I think that's might be another area that is worthwhile for us looking. Is just
What would you
I think-
call that, Jeff?
so the first is, the permit renewals, parking permit renewals, and that's a manual process, so automating or electronifying that. And then two is sort of maybe modernizing or is the parking ticketing process. So it's less about giving out, it's not giving out the tickets, it's visibility into who is parking where, so that it make a more logical decision around giving out tickets.
Hmm.
They just approved at their meeting to upgrade a little bit of the equipment. Right now, I think the ticketing is on one machine and the permit checking is on another. And I think this will give it capability of doing it on one machine so that the two employees who are driving around will be able to do similar things. So I think that's an upgrade. They just upgraded their ticket machines where you buy your daily, your hourly pass. They went from 3G to 4G because 3G wasn't going to be serviced anymore. And they want to upgrade the software where you can pay for your parking on your telephone.
Mobile app.
Yeah, there was concern in the past that people could sit in their office in New York and keep feeding the meter in a lot that wasn't meant for that. But I think we've got capabilities to do that now.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, so that's on the parking. Those are the ones that I know of. Any other topics that anyone else wants to bring up for us, to explore? Could be now, could be later in the year. Anything else?
I think that's plenty.
Yeah, agreed. I think we.
It's
Right.
like we already covered parking, cell phone towers, cable service. If we solve those three things, we can all retire.
I don't think
You forgot about the census and the one-stop database for.
Oh yeah, well that little potatoes.
Okay.
just to be clear, we're I don't know if we want to get into cell towers, but I think high-speed internet access is would be the topic. Just to be clear that there was another committee that was looking at cell towers, and it's probably a place we want to stay away from.
Yeah, they were dismantled. That committee doesn't exist anymore.
The Utilities Commission, yeah.
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 So and they were
Gotcha.
looking. They had a different sort of charter, right? Different objectives. So.
They got too close to the fire, otherwise not approved.
All right, so I think those are good. Anything? Oh, Paul, any website? I think we're pretty good on the website. Other
I
than
would like to say one thing about the website, just for everybody's. Every time I go to one of these meetings, they turn around and say, well, what does TAC want us to do to improve the website? And I look at it occasionally. I was happy today to find that you could sign up for COVID vaccines on the front page.
Oh, wow.
That was a big find, actually. But I think we should provide whatever guidance anybody has in mind about what else should be done. A lot has been done. I mean, it's really I rather like it, but then I'm probably too close to it. It's,
I'm very happy with it. And let me just point out one frivolous thing, because there was so much discussion of the colors. And I basically just ran them all over and didn't listen to them.
did a
And
good job.
Pantone, every year they have the color of the year. This year they had 2 colors of the year, that gray and that lemon yellow. We're totally ahead of the curve.
Red and black didn't make them.
Yeah.
No, or dark green. nuh-uh.
So Anna Marie, you're a trendsetter. You're ahead of the game.
Totally.
A question on the website.
yeah.
Do we have any tools that kind of sit on top that allow us to analyze how people are interacting?
Yeah,
You know, what they're
Google
clicking,
Analytics.
how long they're staying on pages, things like that?
Got Google Analytics.
Yeah.
Whatever depth you want, just if you can either identify pages you'd like to know or whatever. Usually we have either Sal, who's really the administrator in the IT department, or Chris Kaiser, who's the IT director, and we can ask them to produce any of them. And they'll
Yeah, it
send-
might be just worth the conversation, because a lot of times what we do with our own sites is, where are people getting stuck? Where do people abandon, right? You know, rabbit holes that we may not know about, that when you
Right.
look at the data, it sort of tells you where they are and you can improve that way. So it sounds like there might be a process around that already.
The data is available. Does anything get done with it? Would be something that somebody outside of that area is going to have to initiate. They really don't think in terms of, gee, let's find out where the dead ends are. And let's fix them. That's just not.
Yeah.
Well, it's basic, really. Like, even with totally basic analytics, you can see like where they enter, where they exit, like what was in between. Not
Right. And
sure.
then when you do that, you just sort of like, you create a button, you promote that activity to the homepage.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Those kinds of things.
So if you've got any particular areas that you want to get some in
Okay, I'll think about it a little bit. Yeah. let me
analytical
talk to
stuff.
some of the guys on our
Sure.
team, see what they're looking at.
Usually they're on these calls, so it's usually a lot easier, and they've provided it in the past. They've provided us with info in the past, and we've done like not much with it. So
Okay.
I think they're not volunteering it. We need to
Yeah.
ask for it.
And we could ask for it ahead of the call too, right? You could say, hey, this is what you're looking for, and have Chris and Sal poll it, and then have a discussion during the call. So, certainly not have to wait for the next call, but to ask for the request. All right, so I think that's good. Website's just, yeah, I agree. I think it's, it's done well, and it's serving great purposes. But to Mike's point, hey, maybe there's even more we can help. And I think some of these electronic, whether it's parking or town clerks, or if any of these go online, then that's just one more reason for people to head to the website. So that's all good. All right, so I think we've got a good list here and obviously we can add to it as we go along if there's something new. But Anna Marie, to your point, yeah, let's not try to bite off more than we can chew. So I think that's a good call. All right, so that's it for for now, that's our list and I think that's good. I think we've got some good projects here for 2021. Chris is not here, so Outcall was one of them. I just wanted an update from him. He shot me a note to say there's really not much new regarding that. I think, or maybe one of the topics, back to our topics, is just we keep it on the list is sort of all of the, and that may be related to database as well, is, more, promotion to residents to go on and provide their, update and provide their information. So, get more into Everbridge so that people are using it more. So that could be, we could continue to just keep pushing for that. Work with the town to see how they could, I know that both Tucker and Kevin, definitely want to do it. And I think after we get through the database project, we should keep that in our, on our list of topics. That makes sense. Okay, so the last agenda topic is the database project, and I know Mike's done some great work really kicked off some. And of course, Bob's been continuing doing his work. So if you guys would give an update, that would be great.
Yeah, I could start. I think I shot you a note, Jeff. I met with Sid, who's doing this work for us late last week, provided him the jump drive. So he's on it. My guess is, and I know if I'm working back from Kevin's goal of this quarter, I think we can definitely achieve that. He thinks it's going to take a couple of weeks worth of his time to be able to create sort of the master file, a golden record, whatever you want to call it, of the names. So my guess is for next month's meeting, maybe even a little bit earlier, we should be able to have some stuff to look at and assess.
Mike, are you talking about extracting from multiple databases?
Well, we have the extraction vault, right? So Bob was able to provide us all of the different data elements from the different databases into one file. I've provided that file to Sid, who's going to be working on it. So he's got all the information right now, and it's full file, which is great because he signed a document saying he's not going to do anything with the data that he shouldn't, etc. So I think we're in pretty good shape on that front. And Bob, I did give him your contact information as well, so he may reach out to you directly over the next week or so with some questions.
Okay, and then in the meantime, what I've been doing is sorting out these multifamilies, and I went over to Avalon and I actually did some counting by hand, and I put a chart together. We'll finally have the exact mail address because there's no help from over there. I reached out to Arnold Karp with his new project with the buildings going on so we can get exact mailing addresses. And then it's the 2, 3, 4 family houses, and some of that may be just a little drive around to sort that out so they can be plugged in after we've got this project going. So
Right.
we got boots on the ground trying to clean up some of this. And it's a place that's constantly in motion. The town
Right.
is.
How
Yeah,
much-
one thing that I did speak with Sid about that's probably worth, and Jeff, you and I talked about this, was sort of the frequency of updates. Quarterly is probably something that's fairly manageable. It probably wouldn't achieve Kevin's goal, kind of the perfect goal of having this updated weekly or monthly. But given the movements relative to the base, I think quarterly would feel right. We don't have to decide that now. But based on the effort and the energy required, plus we don't have a large transient population here. That feels about right to me, but again, we don't decide it now.
Yeah, I think that feels right. Just given you're right. And if I've moved here and I don't get on added to list for 2 months, I have opportunity to have myself, right? If there was that's part of that call is like, do you go to Welcome Wagon or any of the area newcomers, any of the areas that people coming new to town, or the schools, connecting into those, you probably could get someone in the list sooner.
Right.
Sorry, Bob, were you going to say something?
No, I'm agreeing, and there has to be a marketing package that we put together to people moving in. People aren't going to jump on and, oh, I'm moving, let me clean out this and this and this.
Mhm.
But if we reach out to Avalon, if we reach out to Arnold Karp, and if we come up with mechanisms through the school system and all, when someone's new in the town, there's a card with information, how to get to this stuff pretty quick and assimilate yourself into town quickly.
Yeah, that's good. Good. Any other questions from anyone?
Mike, does this mean that in a week or two or a couple of weeks, we should have something that resembles a first pass of the?
Yes, that's the goal. I mean, if it stays the 13th, call it the 29th. Yes, I'll target the 29th to, at worst, have an update, but hopefully have more than that.
That's good news. Don't
Yeah.
expect perfection on day one. We're
Right, yeah, no, and we won't get it, but
looking for excellence.
Paul, I'm not sure if you knew, but we did give him a very small sample file a few months ago of I think our own names, actually, something like that. So he's aware of sort of that metadata piece of it and the sources. So I think it should be pretty good. Cautiously optimistic.
Good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for your
Worked for a long time.
Yeah, and please pass our thanks to Sid as well.
I will.
Good. All right. Any other questions, topics on that? I think we're making great progress there. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And so last item is any other open business? Anything else anyone else wants to bring up?
Not for me.
Okay. Well, I think we covered a lot. We've covered the waterfront. So do we motion to adjourn?
Sure. I motion we
motion.
adjourn.
All right. And Marie, you're seconding. All in favor?
I'll second.
All right.
Great.
All right. We're good. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks,
Appreciate
Kevin. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
we'll see you next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.